friends. Welcome to another episode of the Long Distance Friends podcast. My name is Liv. I am just still covered in bruises. Like they went away and then they didn't. Also, my most sincere and deepest apologies. The episode that released last week was supposed to go out the week prior, and I thought I uploaded it and I didn't. So I'm so sorry. I really thought I was ahead of the game. Wasn't. Oopsie doopsie, oopsie poopsie. We make mistakes. We live and we learn. We live, laugh, love. Okay. All right. So I have a list today that I cannot wait to go over, right? Some recs. So there was this TikTok athletic dress that went viral. It's like a tank top, like the little fake bra in it dress. I have to cinch the straps to the point that they're in the front. So almost all the way in order for it to not have a nipple popping out for me. So take with that what you will. It was $15, so I feel like I should have known. I also bought an athletic dress on Amazon that it was super cheap and all of the reviews were amazing. And I was like, fuck it, I'll try it. Horrible. Absolutely awful. The worst quality of my life. It's what I get, right? Because I was like, oh my God, I want to get a little light blue tennis dress because, spoiler alert, I'm going to Disney World in 6 months, but still. So I'm prepping outfits and I was like, oh my God, this would be so cute and perfect because then I can be comfortable and walk around and it'll just be cutesy tootsy, right? It'll be so fun, so fierce, so gorgelines. I was wrong. And you know what? If there's one thing about me, I'm going to own up to when I'm wrong. There is nothing I love more in this world than openly saying, hey, I'm incorrect and I want to be right. So I'm going to own when I'm wrong. I'm going to learn from it and I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on. Okay. We live, laugh, love. What else? Okay. So, specifically today, I want to talk about the Cuntalicious 2000s sleepover movies. Okay. Specifically, I saw a little meme of Aquamarine and I was like, oh my God, that movie was so good. Why have I just not watched this movie in 15 years? I need to go back and watch this. And I went back and I watched it. And first of all, so cunty. Okay. Do you know how badly I wanted bleach blonde hair with aquamarine highlights? So fucking bad. Okay. If there was one thing that was so iconic and to this day I still love of the 2000 style is the colored highlights. Okay. And as we know, we are on a journey to grow out my natural color. We're on a journey to healthy hair. Clap, clap for moi. Right. I'm on a journey there. Right. Because I used to bleach my hair a lot. Right. I had crazy highlights and I loved my icy blonde hair. It was so fun giving Draco Malfoy because that's what I looked like as a kid. So in my head, that looks normal for me. My hair now is so much darker than it was as a kid. And sometimes it does throw me off that I'm like, oh yeah, that's just how I look now. Right. Because when it happens gradually, you don't notice it. And then you dye your hair, it's icy, and you're like, yeah, of course, that's what I look like. That's what all of my childhood photos look like. And then you let your natural hair grow out and you're like, wow, is that's really what I look like, which is fine. I love it. I'm so gorgelini, beautiful, amazing, juicy, licious. But it's weird. It's very weird to be like, oh, I look like both. Both look normal for me. And when I had dyed my hair really dark, I loved it. It was so cunty, but it also was just almost too dark. And I loved it. I loved the Snow White vibes because I'm very pale. My eyes are super blue. So it worked and it was super cute for a short period of time. And then my natural hair grew out and it looked like I was going gray because in this lighting, you can't. Well, I also just went to the gym, so my hair looks darker in the camera. And if you're an audio listener, love you. You don't know what I look like. My hair is a dirty blonde and it's growing back in. I have a lot of natural highlights. So I look like I have a bald spot right at the front of my hair. I don't. That's just where the most blonde hair grows out of. So when I pull my hair back, I have all these patches that look bald, right? When I brush my hands through my hair. And I'm like, no, those are just the blonde streaks of hair that naturally are still the same color that they were when I was a kid. Crazy, right? Tootie, if you could not push the microphone away from me, that would be really great. And I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So Aquamarine, I wanted her blue highlights so bad, so fucking bad, right? And then it made me think of like, oh my God, Avril Lavigne with the pink highlights. I was obsessed. And it brings me into another story that I want to sidetrack into because I think it's important. There was a trend on TikTok that was going around and it was like, ask the people in your life, do I look like I would drive a black SUV or a white SUV? Like, what SUV mom do I look like? White or black? And I thought this is actually really fun. You tell me what color, because there's a variety. I don't think that I need to be secluded to black and white, right? I think that there's a variety of options. So I asked a couple of my girlfriends, I asked my boyfriend, I asked my sister, I asked some of my coworkers, and I was like, just out of curiosity, what kind of SUV, what kind and what color do I look like I would drive? And someone at work was like a white, like HRV, or not HRV, white RAV4. Is that a RAV4? A RAV4, a white RAV4. And I was like, oh, slay, thank you. But also, I'm not really sure what that means. I reached out to some of my girlfriends and they were like, ooh, like a light grayish blue, because like, I don't know, that just like feels like your vibe. I told my sister that that's what my friend said, and she was like, I don't know, that gives like a little bit, like, I don't know. And I was like, bitch, first of all, because I do drive a blue car, like, so it makes sense that they would see that as like me. My sister said a gray or like a silver, like bigger, like an Escalade. And I was like, okay, slay. And my sweet, sweet baby Tromix, I love his attention to detail. He said, you look like you drive a black Tahoe with pink license plate and a bumper sticker that says, I'm just a girl. And I was like, so the vibe that I get from that is Snooki. And he was like, no, you're like the bougie, like well-to-do, bougie-licious wife of a blue-collar man. And I was like, okay. So I think I kind of get the vibe that he's going for. And like, when I say this, I want to preface that I do not say this with disrespect, but like a little bit trashy. And he was like, yes, like a little trashy, but like in the best way possible, in like the most fun, elegant, trashy way possible. And I was like, okay, but like slay. Because here's the thing, I like idolized trashiness as a kid, right? Like I loved the trashy bitches. Okay. And I think about Dolly Parton when I think of that. Okay. I loved the raccoon hair look, right? I was like, oh, cunty. Yes. Love it. Love it. I can't pull it off though. I know that I can't, because I would feel out of place doing it. But Avril Lavigne with her blonde hair and her black and pink highlights, oh my God, trashy licious. Loved it. Okay. I ate that shit up as a kid and I idolized her. And then I grew up in like a very like, you need to look prim and proper family. And I was like, I love a little bit of a trashy look though. So then sometimes I'd like dress myself. My family fully would be like, you look like a whore. And I was like, I don't think so. I think I look actually really cute and trendy. And they were like, no, you don't look like you fit in with this family. And I was like, correct. I don't think I do. So, anyways, Avril and Aquamarine give me that vibe. And then, like, also the scene where she like whips up the t-shirt dress, iconic. Okay. Do you remember how many people were like, oh my God, I can do that? And like tried to make it looks like shit. If I feel like most young aughts women remember this of like, you tried to do it and you were like, it just doesn't look as good on me. Why is that? Because she had a costume department. Like that wasn't an actual t-shirt. Like that was an actual dress that was made for her to be made to look like a t-shirt. It wasn't. It wasn't. Right. So all of us who tried to do that and stretch the fuck out of neck holes and like couldn't figure out the right size and like how were the arms not like so long in compare, like the torso was so long on her dress so that it covered all of her important bits, but like the arm sleeves were not so long that they're draping down her back, because in order for me to get ones that like the arms are long enough, and the body is like the body's too long, or like the body's long enough, but then the arms are too long. It was a whole mess. It was a whole ass mess, and it looked horrible. Because absolutely, I tried it, of course. The scene where she's like, "Oh, my earrings, my little starfish earrings that compliment me," and they're like, "Aqua is so gorgeous. Aqua is a pleasure to be around." Are you kidding me? I would love, like, the queen of affirmations, right? Like, no wonder, because she was delusional. She was fully delusional. And we had like JoJo and Emma Roberts, which, like, I love them both so much. Like, absolute icons of the 2000s. JoJo, I love you. I don't know what happened to you. I mean, I know what happened to you. Like, you fell off the face of the earth because you had a shitty record label who, like, blacklisted you basically and like prevented you from making music elsewhere. And that was so sad. But like, oh, JoJo, amazing. Amazing. So fun. So cunty. We love you. I love JoJo's discography too. RV, are you fucking kidding me? Iconic. Robin Williams and Josh Hutcherson. So good. So, Kristen Chenoweth, amazing. Talk about like the perfect trashy character. Kristen Chenoweth plays Trashy so good, and I love her. I love her so much. But yeah, so the queen of affirmations, right? Like, imagine how good your mental health and like mindset would be if you had little starfish on your ears telling you how wonderful you are, right? It was like, we love you. You are so smart and beautiful and kind. You make other people happy by just existing. We find it an honor to be around Aquamarine. No wonder she was like, yeah, I can just walk up to this person and be like, I'm in love with you. Are you in love with me? Because like you're hearing that all day, right? No wonder. Love it. Love her like harsh shock of reality of like, oh, I can't just like, will you kiss me because I'm pretty? Like, oh, that's not socially acceptable. That's crazy. That's wild. Because I'm Aquamarine. I will say some plot holes that I have questions about. How did Aquamarine get out of the pool to begin with? Right? Like, so I understand that when water touches her, her tail grows, right? It's giving very H2O, which also slapped. All right. I want to put that right the fuck out there. I love mermaid shit. Love mermaid shit. Loved H2O. Loved it. Clear. No. Loved it. Ate that shit up. Okay. We were playing mermaids as kids. Big time. Anywho, so how did she get out of the pool? Because the pool was like swampy and they started like draining the pool, but she would have had to get out of the pool before they started draining it. Also, it was a hurricane, so like it was wet everywhere. So did she just like flop herself out of the pool and then like crawl, army crawl behind the like pool thing, whatever? Like, how did she get out to begin with? I'm very confused on that. I'm so fucking confused on it because everything was damp, right? And like the amount of time that she spent like just like out beside the beach or like was hanging out with people that were soaking wet and like shaking their hair. And I'm like, okay, so this person's like shaking their hair. Water condensation is like getting on you and you're not growing a tail. So I have a lot of questions about like what is the science behind how mermaids get their legs, right? Like how at what point is it like, okay, if it's a full cup of water that spills on you, your tail's going to grow. But if it's only like 16 droplets of water, you're fine. What is the in between? Because like it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. And like, how did she army crawl back there? How did she get out of the pool? Because her arms were fucking noodles. Okay. She was like a little 16-year-old mermaid with noodle arms. I don't think that she could have propelled herself out of the pool and like army crawled like that because that tail had to have been heavy. Also, how much weight do you lose going from full mermaid form to walking leg form? I want to know because how much does the tail weigh in comparison to legs? Because legs hold like a lot of your body weight, right? Because that's where we have like our big muscles, right? Like your thighs and your femur. Your femur is your biggest muscle in your body. So it's like the heaviest muscle. And then you have the big ass like leg muscles on top of it. Like a lot of your weight is in your trunk and in your legs, right? So, how does that translate into your tail? I'd like to know. Mermaids of the world, leave it in the comments below. I'd like to know. Thank you. So I'm very curious about that. I really am. Also the like bathtub scene. How did JoJo hold her breath for that long? Really curious about that. Also, I would love to know what the behind the scenes of filming that felt like for her, because like that had to have sucked so bad. But also, like, imagine how much fun it was making that movie of like, oh, I'm playing a mermaid. I do remember there was like behind the scenes content on the DVD that we had as a kid where like, um, I don't remember the name of the actress. I know she was on like a bunch of other shit too. Like she was very popular for a while. I forget her name, but she was on like a Nickelodeon show where she like was a city girl and then she moved to the farm and she got a horse and she became a changed woman and like pop off queen, whatever. But I do remember there was like a behind the scenes thing where she was like, yeah, I have to pee in my tail. So when they take it off of me, like it's just like filled with piss. And like she didn't say piss because it was the 2000s, but like she was like, yeah, I just have to like pee in it and they have to like clean it out because it's not breathable. It's so sweaty. And like if we had to take it off every single time I had to go to the bathroom, like we would never finish shooting because of how long it takes to get on and off and all the things. And like, can you imagine just being stuck in your own piss and sweat for like hours? Awful. That's horrible. Absolutely horrible. God bless her. Loved that I will say, okay, so the ending like scene is kind of spooky, right? Also, the mean girl, amazing. I also love that like the drama point is like, ah, she got boobs and then she became a bitch. So 2000s. So 2000s, and I love it. Love it. Especially where she's like, "Ah, okay. And like the like, ah, did she get him done? So fucking funny. So funny. I do want more info of like, I love how they like really brushed over like Emma Roberts' parents are dead. Which why did every movie in the 2000s it was always like, and her parents are dead. She's got a dead mom, which like as someone who in the 2000s had a dead mom, I was like, of course. And then I like look back at it and I'm like, I don't understand that cliche because most people have both of their parents. Like if their parents had been divorced, I feel like that would have been more believable for the time period, right? But no, it was just they're dead. They're dead. Everybody has a dead parent here because that makes sense. It doesn't. But like I felt seen in the media. Okay. But it was like a scary final scene, right? Where like the storm happens and her dad is upset. So there's a big storm and he pulls her out to sea. And the like, okay, also, we're backtracking. The scene where they're like biking past Raymond's house. Raymond is the dude that she's like, I'm in love with him. And both of the other girls are like, yeah, everyone is. So are we. Like, he's gorgeous. He's perfect. He's the lifeguard. And she was like, yeah, he's going to fall in love with me and then he's going to kiss me. And then my dad will let me do whatever I want because I'll prove to him that like true love and humans are good people exist. Right. And they're like biking past his house with her like on the handlebar, just like twirling my hair because I'm so pretty. Like back and forth, back and forth. I love that because guess what? I did that as a kid. You think that me and my girlfriends weren't riding our bikes back and forth on the same street because the boy that we liked lived there and we were like, maybe he'll come out and see us. So we're just gonna keep like hanging out in this vicinity. And then like his mom would come out and be like, he's at soccer practice. And we'd be like, thanks, we'll go home now. Thank you so much. Like idiots. So good. Um, but like the slow motion ripping our shirt off, jumping over the banister to be like, do you need a band-aid? That made so many teenagers so horny in 2006 for freaking sure, right? But when he like comes out and Aquamarine is being like sucked back into the ocean by her dad and her tail comes out and she's like, "Oh no." And he's like, "Aqua, I'll come save you." And he like sees her grow a tail and he's like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "I'm gonna go get my board. I'm gonna go get my surfboard and I'm gonna surf out and get her." And she's like, "Oh no, he knows I have a tail now." And like the fact that like they didn't give her a seashell bra. They were like, oh, when she becomes a mermaid, her hair gets 18 inches longer so that it can cover her boobs. That makes no sense, also. The science behind mermaids, I really want to know. Movie mermaid science, I need a course on. I need a textbook. I need to know. Because what do you mean her hair grew 18 more inches? And like perfectly to cover her boobs. And like the extensions look so cheap and fake and tacky. And I love it. Because at the time I was like, oh, that looks so real. And now I'm like, oh my God, that looks so bad. And I love it. Right. We love to love and we love to hate. Right. We're just lovers. Okay. But Raymond being like, so you're a mermaid. And her being like, yep, flapping her tail. Iconic. And him being like, well, I'm going to sail around the world. And she's like, I'll follow you. Girl, same. Same. Love it. Like, stupid girl. Stupid girl who's like, oh my God, I've got family over in the Atlantic Ocean. Funny you should mention. Maybe I'll follow you. Stay with them for a little while. Interesting. So it was so funny. So I love Aquamarine and like, what a time to be alive that was like the, I mean, it was such a time to be. Okay, the other one, Teenage Drama Queen. I think I've talked about it before, but like the final song that Lindsay Lohan, like, that girl was a teenage drama queen. That one, right? Such a good scene where they have like the little blue pixie cut, like painty hair, and she's wearing that like really cunty, like the clothing in this movie, first of all, amazing. Also, pre-plastic surgery, Megan Fox, so gorgeous. And like Megan Fox just played like the mean high school girl so well. And I loved it. I loved everything about this movie, right? The Coke can or the Coke bottle necklace, obsessed, right? So good, so hot, so spicy, quirky. I'm not like other girls, right? So good. I also was thinking about Freaky Friday. Like Lindsay Lohan was such a good moment. Okay, Lindsay Lohan in the early 2000s, before the drugs and the arrests and all of that, like really was so good. And I feel like her acting skills were really underrated because, like, at the time, the quality that we expected from actors was a lot less than we expect now, right? Like, now I want to fully believe that you're a Victorian boy who's dying of the plague, right? And we have other, like, additions to media production that have made that more believable. But at the time, like playing just like the angsty teenage girl worked for her. And like there's really no movie that I've seen with Lindsay Lohan in it that wasn't so good. And like in the cuntiest way possible. And when I say cunty, remember, we're talking about like cool, amazing, girly pop, right? What was it? The like Get Lucky movie where she like is the luckiest girl alive and then she becomes unlucky and like loses all of her luck and everything goes wrong. So good. Does not get the recognition that it deserves. Okay. That was like a straight to DVD one that you've only found at Blockbuster and it was so good. It was so good. If you haven't seen it, go home. That's your homework. You need to watch it. But Teenage Drama Queen, they're like 16. Her lying about her dad being dead, crazy, like insane, psychotic, honestly. And then like her being mad at her friend for being like, you lied to me about your dad. That was a stutter. You lied to me about your dad being dead. And like, that's not cool. And her being like, well, what did you want me to say? That I'm just an average person with divorced parents who had to move to the suburbs? I don't, I don't claim that identity. And her friend being like, okay, but that's the reality. Like, the reality is that like you're not special and you're acting like you are, which is fine. But like, you're a normal bitch just like everybody else. And like, I still would have thought you were cool because you have a cool personality. You didn't have to lie to me because now I can't trust you with anything. Also, super creepy that she's having this like romantic moment with this like 35-year-old rock star when she's 16, right? Gross. So gross. But like, we're going to slow dance at the party. Her making it back in time for her performance, iconic, amazing. And I know it was like based on some sort of Shakespearean play, drama, whatever. God, it was so good. And like, Lindsay Lohan's music was just like so trashalicious. So trashalicious. It was amazing. It was so good. Like she's not a good singer. She's not a great singer. But like at the 2000s, that was the sound that we wanted to hear. That was the sound that we loved. Right? So it was so good. Freaky Friday. There's a meme going around of like Jamie Lee Curtis doing the like cover art where she's wearing this like full plaid. She's like holding a guitar as like the promo thing. And it was like POV me at 25 years old listening to Olivia Rodrigo. And I was like, no, I feel seen. I feel so seen, right? Love it. Love to love it. And it's so funny. It's so funny where it's like me as a millennial using Gen Z slang. I guess I'm just like, cool rocker. Look at me fitting in with you guys. So good. So good. And I just like, I really love, I don't think this genre is, I don't think the genre is identified as 2000s sleepover movies. But when I say 2000s sleepover movies, I know that you're thinking of exactly the movies that I'm thinking of. The movie Sleepover with Alexis Vega, so good, right? Um, Teenage Drama Queen, Aquamarine, Freaky Friday. Oh God, what are the Bratz movie? Does anybody remember the Bratz movie? So good, right? The like, there was just so many. And I love that when I say that, like, if I close my eyes and I think like 2000 sleepover movie, first of all, I can see the Blockbuster that was by my house, right? That smelled like piss in the carpet, right? You know the smell of a Blockbuster. And you got to go, and it was like you and your little girlfriend, and you were like, okay, we're gonna pick out a couple movies, and you pick out like the most unheard of movies. I loved a straight to DVD movie because you've never heard of it before, or like you only see it in the commercials in the other blockbuster movies, right? Like you didn't see the commercial for it in the movie theater because the movie theater wasn't going to announce something that they weren't playing. You only saw it when it was already on DVD. And then you're like, oh, how come I didn't hear about this? And then you watch it and you're like, it was so trashy and bad, but also like exactly what you needed. I also am obsessed with Nancy Meyers movies. Like it's just that time of year. It really is where like I love a Nancy Meyers summer. I really do. It's like the best. So I love a sleepover movie. I really do. And like I'm about to have like a really long day tomorrow and I cannot wait because I'm gonna watch so many things. I'm still watching Southern Charm. I I can't say it enough. I can't get enough of Paige DeSorbo and Craig Conover. And I love that like every season they play Craig Conover being like, what's wrong with my sewing? Favorite fucking scene. Also, Naomi was kind of a bitch. And when I say kind of a bitch, she's always been a bitch, right? Always. Just let the man sew. I want to talk about the swirlies because I have been the swirliest girly in the world the past couple days. And like, I felt so bad because I've seen my man 2 days in a row this week, and they happened to be the like 2 days before I got my period. So I was the swirliest girly in the world, where I was like kind of spicy. And he made a couple comments on it, and he was like, "Oh, you're a little bit more like activated than usual. You're a little bit more elevated than typical." And I was like, "Oh, so I'm an annoying piece of shit. So I'm just an annoying cunt who you hate and you don't want to be around." He was like, "I've never said that. I cannot stress enough that you did not annoy me. You are not like pissing me off. I'm not mad at you. You just seem a little bit more on edge than usual." And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, what's that supposed to mean? Hmm? Yeah, tell me. Tell me what you think that means. So I was like, oh my God, I'm having the swirlies. And here's the thing. I know that like I have like really crazy PMS every once in a while where I'm like, oh, I want to kill myself because I'm an ogre, right? And it's always like, oh my God, I'm a fat fucking piece of shit who deserves nothing good in life. And then like after 30 minutes, I'm like, oh, I think I'm about to get my period. Like when I look in the mirror and I'm like, when did I become this person? Probably about to get my period. Probably, right? So I'm like having that for like 2 days, and I was like, oh, I'm supposed to get my period. That's why. And I cannot stress enough. I like would just like sit there and like cry. And I was like, I just like really appreciate you because like I know that I'm not my normal self right now. I know that like I am so much worse than usual. And I'm nauseous. I'm like throwing up because I'm having the worst PMS of my fucking life, right? And I'm so not me right now. And I'm so sorry. I just like am so stressed. And he was like, that's okay. And I like calling it the swirlies more than PMS because I feel like, oh my God, she's PMSing. That's not nice. Like it's become weaponized. Things that are like so natural and normal for a female experience just get like absolutely shit on and made to be like the worst things in the world. And that's so cruel and mean and like not cool. Right? Like if guys went through this, it wouldn't be like, oh, maybe she's just PMSing and that's why she's a cunt. No, 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 no. It would be like, hey, maybe you should get 4 days off of work paid fully to go rest and take care of yourself, right? I don't get that option. I just have to keep doing life. And like, he kind of said something because he was like, you're sick and you're like, okay, I'm going to go cook dinner. I'm going to go do this. Like, no, let me take care of you if you don't feel good and like all of these things. And I was like, but women don't have that luxury. Women have never had the luxury of like, when I'm sick, I just get taken care of. Like, even as a kid, I wasn't allowed to be sick. If I was not profusely bleeding or vomiting, and even if I was, it was still like, you need to get your chores done, right? You didn't get a day off. You didn't get to stay home from school. You didn't get to lay it on the couch and watch TV. Like sick days for me versus sick days for my brothers were very different. Sick days for my brothers were we were going to go to the doctor, you're going to lay on the couch, you're going to eat popsicles, and you're going to watch TV. When I had a sick day, it was you're going to stay in bed in your room. Then you're not allowed to go outside. You're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do that. You're not going to the doctor and you need to go to school tomorrow. And you'd better be shitting yourself, profusely vomiting all day long. Otherwise, you were faking it. What the fuck was that? Right. So it trained, and I think a lot of women have that experience of like it trains us from an early age to be like, oh, I'm not allowed to rest. When like, as a woman, I need more rest than my male counterpart because my body works on a different cycle. I require more sleep. I require more calories. I require more nurturing, but I was never given that. So I don't like, I'm still having to learn how to give it to myself and I'm learning how to accept it. And so I like using different words for these things because I think it gives them a nicer connotation of just like, hey, I'm feeling a bit swirly today. Okay, no problem. It's one of those days we're icky. That's okay. Versus, oh my God, I'm PMSing and suddenly it's gross and it's dirty and it's wrong. Fuck that. Fuck that in the ass. God, I hate that. I hate that so much. I hate the double standard. Okay, what else? Okay, so another thing, like I said, I'm going to Disney World and it's my favorite thing. Okay. Like I know that I'm a Disney adult. Surprise. If you didn't know, I am a Disney adult, but I'm not like a cringy Disney adult. I'm just like a former Florida resident, right? Who grew up going to Disney World multiple times a year my entire life, right? So, like, for me to be at a point where like I haven't gone to Disney in 2 years, like 6 months ago, I was looking into like, can I just go down and go to Disney World for a day? Because like I just like am feeling so depressed and I just know it would make me feel better to be there. And it's like one of the few places in this world that I have positive childhood memories. I have negative ones there, but the positive generally outweigh the negative there. And a lot of those experiences were like not always with my family, you know? Like it was very common for me to go to Disney World with not my parents and not my nuclear family. As a really young kid, I went with my aunt, uncle, and my cousin, who's 3 days older than me a lot. We were leash kids, right? They did put us on leashes. I've got to find the photos because they're around somewhere. They're so fucking funny. And like us meeting the mice from Cinderella, obsessed. Again, cunty, loved it, right? I I went a lot in middle school with this girl that I was friends with. It was me, her, and her mom that like every other weekend, basically, we were going to Disney World. And I was like, you guys, I told my parents, I was like, you guys should just get me an annual pass for Christmas. I would love that because I'm going to Disney World with them all the time. That was when the Art of Animation opened. And I love the Art of Animation hotel. Like so cunty, so fun. I remember the first time I went there with my parents and it was like their first time there. And I was like, I'm here every other weekend. Like the people at the front desk know me. Like I'm just here all the time because that was so normal. Like that was such a normal experience for me. Like I did a lot of things without my family. I went to I had a lot of these experiences independently, like with other people's families and not my own, which is so funny. But like the first time that when my dad and my stepmom were dating, the first like group trip that like we went on with her and my brother, and my aunt and like my dad and me and my sister, we stayed at the Polynesian because my mom was like, she grew up, my stepmom, I call her mom either way. She grew up with like monorail access hotels always of like the Polynesian and the Contemporary. Like you stay at a hotel that has monorail access. Nowadays, it's $700 a night to stay there, right? It's crazy. But that was like when my dad got married to my mom, that was what we did. We did pin trading, we did all of the things, right? My birth mom was not necessarily like we have to stay at a, monorail access hotel. Like we don't have to stay at like the fanciest ones, but she was a fucking Disney adult too. Everyone on that side of the family, also Disney adults. And then the family that my dad married into, even more so, right? Like they were the ones who got me into pin trading, into like hidden Mickeys, into all of these like different things because that was the culture of that part of my family of like being so hardcore into it. And like they go to Disney World still so much. My brother, did he get, no, my brother didn't get his first haircut in Disney World. My cousins both on my aunt's sons all got their first haircut at the barbershop in Disney World. Like it's so ingrained in my family, right? So it's super exciting. I am taking trail mix to meet my family and we're going on a family trip for the first time in probably 10 years, right? And that's going to be him meeting my family. And I've always planned Disney trips myself. And this is the first time that I'm looking into planners, right? This is the first time that I'm really planning. And I'm like, I'm not a Florida resident anymore, which sucks so hard. Absolute booty hole, right? And we're also celebrating my niece's birthday because like this is the first time that we're really like planning a trip as like adults. And this is the first like adult family vacation too, which is interesting. And there's a lot of factors that go into it. So I have been planning my little butt off because I've been feeling real nasty. And I love planning a trip. And I have a note in here of like, is planning as fun as the trip or is that just my neurospicy? Because I have the most fun planning trips. Like as a kid, I would just sit at home and plan trips I was never going to go on of like, you'll stay in this hotel and you'll do this and that and this and that. And I loved it. And it brings me so much joy. And I was like, maybe that's what I should do with my life. Maybe when I grow up, I should be like a wedding planner or a vacation planner. Like, I just feel like if I could do a job that is just strategic planning, I'd be so good, right? I think I'd be a really good wedding planner. I've never planned a wedding before, but I think I'd be really good at it. And I think I'd be a really good day of coordinator because I'm very organized and I'm really good under pressure. And I like love a little bit of chaos. And I also love like the sassy moments like that, right? I love it. And also like to be a part of someone's big day like that. It's just like such good energy. I love that. Love that so much. But either way, so I have made multiple spreadsheets of how much everything is going to cost through different Disney travel planners, through different websites of me planning myself, like all of the things. And my dear, sweet, sweet little trail mix, my sweet angel, he looked at the first place that I looked at price wise and he was like, oh, fuck. And I went, oh, hold on. That is not the price we will pay because I know what I'm doing. And he was like, okay. And I was like, you think that I don't know how to hack the system and do all the things and this, that, and the other? And he was like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. Just tell me how much I owe. And I was like, okay. I planned for an entire day. He came over and I was like, so here's everything that I did today. And he was like, what? I was like, so on this website, we do this. And with this one, we do this. So here's the price point if we follow this one. And then here's the price point if we follow this and this and this and this. And we can do a reservation at this restaurant and we can do this fast pass and and like crazy planning. And I was like, I just had the best day ever. And he was like, that seems like it. I would hate doing that. He is so like in the moment. And I'm like, I love planning. I love it. So leave in the comments below. Do I love planning and have so much fun with it because I have the spicy brain? Or do other people also get that enjoyment? Or is it like a stressful thing to plan trips and stuff like this? Because I love it. Love it. Especially if it's something that I've done before or a place I've been before. Love it. Because I'm like, I know all the variables. So I'm like, we can do this, we can do that, we can do this, we can do that. I don't feel any pressure to do everything. So it brings a little bit more like ease of like, I really want to have a nice dinner at the end of the day. That's all. Hmm. But yeah. So that's all I had. I did just get home from the gym and I need to go take a shower because I am a grease goblin right now. But baby shower went great. I got so many good stories. I think I left a good first impression for a lot of people, right? Oh my God, I got invited to a family dinner that like I immediately, me being me, I don't say no to anything. I'm like, yes, of course I would be honored. Thank you so much. And then I realized that's the day I have to take my colonoscopy prep. And I thought, I probably shouldn't go to that family dinner because I'm going to be shitting my brains out, right? I'm going to be a wafer, a leaf in the wind, my friends. I've joked about it. I was like, what photos can I get taken, right? To be like, this is probably the thinnest I'll ever be. Is it healthy? No. Did I abuse laxatives in college? 100%. Is it probably why I'm in the position I'm in now? 100%. It is, I have dealt with almost every eating disorder on the planet, and it is why I'm in this position. So, word of the wise to any younger listeners or any people that like might be struggling with disordered eating now, seek help early, seek treatment, get as much of it as you can because you don't want to be 10 years later having to get an endoscopy and a colonoscopy because there are issues with the entirety of your digestive tract and long-term uh, side effects because there are. And if you don't take care of it early on and you don't learn to love yourself enough to do what's difficult and overcome the really, really shitty experience that is disordered eating, you will be in a boat like me, having to get cameras up your butt. So, love you. Can't wait to tell you about my fancy nap that I'm going to be taking. Hugs, kisses, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. It's always such a great time when we get to hang out, isn't it? We have the best time. Okay, well, watch some 2000 sleepover movies this week. I love you so much. Bye.